A network of commercial routes that stretches across the Asian continent, from the eastern Mediterranean to the Eurasian steppe and beyond to China and Japan, is known as the Silk Road. It's important to remember that ideas, in addition to things, were transported over the Silk Road. Images of camel caravan convoys and nomadic merchants halting at desert oasis cities come to mind. Because of this, the emergence of this trading network some 2,000 years ago, with its spirit of exchange, had a profound effect on the world at large, and is a major step towards a worldwide society. Don't forget to subscribe to Ancient History for fascinating insights into the mysteries of the ancient world and captivating historical narratives. It's challenging to identify the exact beginnings of the Silk Road as a distinct entity. We're aware that during the Han period, which controlled China from 206 BC to 220 AD, trade existed between China and the West. Wu, the Han emperor, dispatched Zhang Qian, an imperial ambassador, to explore the civilizations of Central Asia, most likely in search of allies to counter domestic concerns. Zhang's travelogues provided insightful information and discussed the possible advantages of better relations for China in terms of trade and educational opportunities. In 130 BC, this aided in the official establishment of a trading network. But we can go much further back in time to consider the beginnings of the Silk Road trading network to Persia under the reign of Darius I. Darius created connections with traders in North Africa as well as in Mesopotamia and the Indian subcontinent. Using this network, known as the Royal Road, Alexander the Great increased his rule over the area and strengthened trade connections. At some point, these foundations were integrated and expanded upon by what is commonly known as the Silk Road, which is typically connected to China. These trade routes allowed for the widespread movement of goods and the blending of cultures over the course of the next 1400 years. This was, in general, founded when the Chinese Han Dynasty interacted with and developed partnerships with the Central Asian nomadic tribes. They assisted in the establishment of trading posts, which developed into essential rest stops for travelers negotiating the difficult terrain, especially in the vicinity of the Bactrian Desert. Traders and merchants typically used convoys to move goods from one post to another rather than traversing significant portions of the routes. Thus, rather than the people themselves, it was primarily the things traveling throughout the world. What products were really traded then? Since China was the only nation capable of producing silk and maintained this knowledge a well-guarded state secret, it is clear that silk was a major export from China to the West. The silkworm was employed for a variety of purposes in China, but its primary use as an opulent article of apparel piqued the curiosity of Westerners. It's simple to understand why silk became popular. It's breezy and light in the summer, cozy in the winter, and embellished with lovely patterns and colors. Rich Greek and Roman families were obsessed with the commodity. China is known in Greek as Ceres, which means the land of silk. Some claim that the steady flow of silver out of Rome to pay for Chinese silk contributed to the city's financial collapse. The popularity of silk had a significant impact on the Chinese industry, with many Chinese peasants producing silk to meet the demand, even though the silk trade may have only had an impact on the lives of the wealthy in the West. In addition to silk, a wide range of products passed via the network, including valuable minerals and gemstones from North Africa and spices from the Levant. Exchanged goods included fruits and vegetables, cattle, grain, leather, and hides. Arabian horses were a popular demand among the Chinese because the horses they saw in the West were significantly bigger and more powerful than the horses they saw back home, which astounded and impressed the early Chinese envoys. Along with papermaking, which left China and traveled to Samarkand and Europe, technology also left China and headed west. Some people think that China was the original source of gunpowder expertise, which European settlers later polished and enhanced for use in combat. These two technologies make it abundantly evident how the enhanced degree of interaction could fundamentally alter the political and cultural history of a sizable area. Ideas are inevitably shared and propagated wherever diverse cultures come together and engage in trade. Ideas travel where trade does, whether it be through philosophy, science, or approaches to language, art, and society order. A major advancement made possible by this blending of cultures is the dissemination of religious concepts. In the 2nd and 3rd century AD, the first large-scale coordinated missionary effort brought Buddhism to China. Buddhist monks translated scriptures into Chinese, and Buddhism and Taoism spread throughout East Asia, replacing earlier ancestor worship traditions. As they journeyed through the Silk Road towns, the missionaries amassed wealth and political influence. Consequently, we witness the establishment of expensive monasteries throughout the commerce hubs of Central Asia during the first several centuries of the new millennium. The monasteries provided travelers with a cozy spot to stay while traveling. This mutual link between traders and monks contributed to the Silk Road's growth in trade, and helped many of these towns integrate Buddhism into their cultures. But not just Buddhism made its way along these paths. Intellectual exchanges also facilitated the migration of Christians, Muslims, and Jews, who established enclaves all across the region. Diseases spread more readily as a regrettable consequence of the world's population becoming increasingly interconnected. Research has revealed a connection between the Silk Road trade and the spread of diseases like leprosy and anthrax. The most notorious instance is the Black Plague in 1346, which claimed the lives of up to half of all Europeans. It is thought that the bubonic plague may have originated in the way stations of Central Asia along the Silk Road, when sick rodents moved undetected inside the caravans. One Western traveler may have done more than anyone to create the impression of the Silk Road in the public mind prior to that horrible disease in the 14th century. At the height of the Mongol Empire, Marco Polo, a Venetian merchant, is said to have journeyed throughout Asia and worked at Kublai Khan's illustrious court. Generations of tourists have been inspired by his tales of the Orient, and his family's voyage perfectly captures the spirit of the Silk Road. Initially, the Polos were traders who hoped to profit from the sale of spices from their trading post in Constantinople. In addition to bringing Marco on this second tour with him, Marco's uncles had already visited the Great Khan at the Mongol ruler's request. The priests were Catholics. This represents the expanding interest in concepts throughout the world at large. When Marco Polo reportedly arrived in Kublai Khan's magnificent, lavish palace of Xanadu in 1275, he may have taken a job as a tax collector. Once more symbolic of the world's recent globalization, this fit with the Khan's custom of using outsiders with diverse cultural backgrounds to run his enormous empire. The Venetian spent about a decade touring China and Southeast Asia before heading back to Italy. His tales, however much exaggerated and possibly even partially fabricated, provide elaborate depictions of the Silk Road's topography, including deserts, mountain ranges, and oases, as well as the Khan's palaces. The book known as The Travels undoubtedly contributed much to the romanticization of Silk Road travel. All that's left of the original Silk Road is a paved highway that connects Pakistan and the Uyghur Autonomous Region of Xinjiang in China. Although the UN's plan to fund a trans-Asian railway and highway in this area has not materialized, it served as the impetus for China's Belt and Road Initiative. Such initiatives demonstrate the viability of the concept and serve as a worldwide infrastructure development strategy under Xi Jinping's leadership. That's all for this video. We will be back soon with another informative video. Don't forget to like and share this video. To keep exploring ancient history together, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Until next time!